back with another video. Today I want to talk about Dietrich Bonhoeffer and his stupidity theory. Alright, let's do it. Ever notice how most confident people often lead us straight into a dead end? You're cruising through life thinking, this must be the way. That guy sounded so sure. And then boom, wrong turn. And now you're stuck wondering how someone so loud, so certain could be so wrong. Turns out there's a name for that. The Dunning-Kruger Effect, where people who know the least think they know the most. But long before Dunning and Kruger slapped their name on it, a German pastor locked in a Nazi prison figured it out first. His name was Dietrich Bonhoeffer. And his theory? That stupidity, not evil, is the real threat to humanity. Let's talk about it. See, the stupidity has been around longer than the wheel. See, there was time when people believed that tomatoes were poisonous, bloodletting was medicine, and that you could cure illness by smelling flowers during the plague. In the 1600s, doctors were like, you're sick? Let's drill a hole in your skull. But the thing about that, stupidity back then was mostly due to ignorance. We know better now. People didn't just do dumb things, they felt extremely confident doing them. Which brings us to a dangerous modern mix. Too little knowledge, way too much confidence, and no awareness of the gap. That's Dunning-Kruger. And Bonhoeffer saw that decades before it was cool. Let's meet Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Born in 1906, Bonhoeffer was a pastor, theologian, and resistance fighter. He spoke out against Hitler when it wasn't just unpopular, it was lethal. He joined a plot to assassinate the guy, and for that the Nazis locked him up in prison. And while waiting to be executed, he didn't write angry rants or prayers for revenge. He wrote how stupidity, not evil, had destroyed Germany. And he meant that literally. Bonhoeffer wrote, "Stupidity is a more dangerous enemy of good than malice." Let that sink in. See, evil has intent. It knows it's wrong. It knows it's evil. You can see it, challenge it, and fight it. But stupidity? It always thinks it's right. It doesn't know it's wrong, and that's what makes it invincible. Dunning-Kruger backs this up. A person with low ability will not only make worse decisions, they'll also overestimate their skills and resist correction. They're not lying, they just don't know how little they know. So when you try to help, they get defensive, not great. Sound familiar? Yeah, Bonhoeffer made the whole nation of that in 1940s Germany. Look, humans have always been overconfident. In 1912, they said the Titanic was unsinkable. In 90s, we thought smoking light cigarettes was healthy. In 2008, banks said housing prices will never go down. And every time, massive confident faceplant. Dunning and Kruger ran experiments in 1999 proving this. The worst performers in a task, whether logic, grammar, or humor, were the most likely to rate themselves highly skilled. And people who were actually good, they underestimated themselves. Bonhoeffer didn't have a lab coat or a peer review study, but he watched a so-called intelligent society march behind a dictator with a mustache and no upper lip, and he realized it wasn't the evil that enabled the regime, it was the stupid. Bonhoeffer said stupidity isn't a personal flaw, it's a social infection. It spreads in a group, especially under pressure of power. Because when people feel powerless economically, socially, emotionally, they hand over their thinking in exchange for safety and belonging. And the more power someone has, the more stupidity they need around them. The power of the one needs stupidity of the others. Sounds familiar? Movements, cults, politics, internet influencers. People stop thinking, start chanting, and repost instead of reflect. They become megaphones for whatever they're told. Not evil, just empty. Bonhoeffer saw that once someone is deep in that mindset, facts don't matter. You can throw data, logic, history, it bounces off like water on a duck's back. That's Dunning-Kruger too. The incompetent are not only bad at something, they're bad at recognizing their own incompetence. So you are not arguing with a person anymore. You're arguing with a wall with a smiley face drawn on it. They're mostly not listening, they're just waiting for their turn to speak. And now we got Dunning-Kruger with a Wi-Fi connection, TikTok gurus with no credentials, alpha males telling you to ignore science, AI bots generating fake news in perfect grammar. We're not short on information, we're drowning in it, but choking on the illusion of confidence. We're living in a stupidity renaissance. And worse, we mistake it for authenticity. Bonhoeffer would have wept. So what's the cure? Bonhoeffer said, you don't fight stupidity with facts. You liberate people from it through courage, through suffering, through hard-earned self-awareness. People don't snap out of stupidity from a debate. They do it when life humbles them, when they realize they were just repeating noise. But here's the hard part. Sometimes you gotta ride alone, think alone, stand alone. Because critical thinking, like riding this trail, requires balance, patience, and not following the first loud voice you hear. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was executed just weeks before the end of the World War II. He never got to see the Nazis fall, but he left behind a warning that echoes louder now than ever. Stupidity isn't harmless. It isn't funny. It's organized, contagious, and deeply confident. And when it grows, good people die. And most of the time, the people helping the bad guys, they don't even know they're doing it. They think they're helping. So if you want to fight evil, start with stupid. Question everything, even yourself, especially yourself. Don't mistake confidence for wisdom. Don't mistake loud for smart. And don't surrender your mind for the comfort of the crowd. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is take the long road alone. Thanks for coming along for the ride. See you next time.